Hey guys, sorry for the cut. So I was saying it's awesome if we can have a selection set, so in the future if we want to reselect just these strands, we can recall it. That'll be a very great feature to have that is still missing. Anyways, that's about it. The brush again is very simple, but it's very powerful. I'll show you later. We'll move on, and the ground strands, I didn't use this one, so we'll skip it. Guides from shape. Hold on, let me just click this. Hey guys, sorry for the cut. So guide from shape, it's kind of like guide from splines. Let me just delete that one real quick and go to just create a bunch of lines. And for example, if I just very quickly duplicate this a couple times, and if I go guides from shape, which is spline, as you can see, it turns my line to a guide, which I can then add an edit guide, right? So there you go. That's and here there's only one parameter, which is very easily figurable, which is the number of segments from the root to the tip, how much you want to divide it, in this case 10. So so this guides from shape is useful definitely if you import splines from other packages, for example fiber mesh. If you export from ZBrush all the fibers and then into like a spline, and then import it into Max as an editable spline, then you can definitely use this one, or you can create within Max as you see here. So let's just delete this real quick. For some reason, sometimes it just it just won't delete. Probably it's a Max issue, probably it's a bug, no idea, but let's just move on. Hey guys, sorry for the cut. So let's just move on, and excuse me. So we got that explained. This one, it's you can grow guides on a spline. I didn't use this one, so you can read the manual there. So the next one down is hair from guides. Okay, this will be quite lengthy to explain, so please bear with me. This is actually my second take on explaining this one. Had to erase all my previous recording. I wasn't explaining it. I was explaining it way too confusing. But anyways, this needs the same distribution map from the guides below. So let's just do that, and it will update. It'll look like what we have in the one after the edit. So right. Anyways, also I think in my previous take, I renamed this just this 300 is just the initial root count number. Okay. So with this, let's just explain this real quick. This hair from guides is okay. So up to this point, we have edited our guide. So we can then grow hair excuse me, from our guides, and we can then say, for example, do like 100,000 for the render time, 100,000 of hair for the render time, and then have, you know, a lower number for the viewport. And typically this is the workflow that, you know, the typical use. But I will show you in a bit another way to do it. But anyways, in the same modifier, you can either export type hair, the type is hair, or again guides. So if you also export a guide type, you can then add an edit guide, and you can still, you know, edit it further. So you're not limited to, you know, editing once. You can still edit it, and this will still render 100,000 strands, and this is just a viewport thing, right? So the only reason I use a hair type is when I want to use this hair clustering. Okay. Excuse me, if you don't have a hair type, this modifier is not in this list. Let me prove that. If I'm right now, I'm a guide type, right? And that hair clustering is gone from this list. See, it should be like here, but it's not there. Once I used a hair from guides and the type is hair clustering there, it's above the hair shell. Maybe if I do it this way, then it's still there. You go, it's gone. The hair clustering is gone. And actually, there in Ornatrix there are two types of clustering function, so to speak. One is definitely the one that I've been mentioning, the hair clustering for hair type, and the other is strand clustering. These two are different. The clustering effect is different. I prefer the clustering for the hair type because it's easier to understand, and I will probably do that later. But that's why you have a two type, and the only reason you want to change it to hair is because you want to, at least me, I want to use this hair clustering. If you don't plan to excuse me, to use this modifier, I suggest you stay on guides. I have also some reasons for that. Sorry, I've been, you know, I've putting all this, I've been mentioning, like, you know, I'll show it in a bit, but I don't want to get too complicated early, because I did that in the previous recording, and I realized I was, like, you know, jumping here and there, like, you know, very confusing, I think, from you guys' point of view. But anyways, let's just say this is enough for explanation for now, for this modifier. Let's just move on to and we'll just keep it right? And move on to the next one, which is, oh, the hair clustering is the next one actually. So well, this is very easy actually. Okay, to understand this hair clustering, definitely it's to give a clumping or a clustering effect, like a grouping effect. That's what a cluster means, anyways, right? So let me get rid of the grid. Okay, the easiest way to read to understand this, very simple actually. If you have a thousand here right now, right? Let's just make right now the number of the view same with the number of the render, so we don't have to so I don't confuse you guys. But there is 1000 right now for both the view and the render. And right now, if I say, for example, I generate just 2, okay, 3 is the minimum, yes, or go 10. So from 1000, I want to just generate a group of them. So every 100 will get grouped into sorry, if it's 1000, every 100 of them will get one group into one, so you'll end up with 10 group. When I hit this, there you go, you will get 10 groups. If we count, definitely 10. I'm not gonna count it, but anyways, that's how you understand this number. Very simple. Just so if, say for example, I wanna have like you know, let's just think, I want to probably have you know, this is probably more natural looking, or even lower, like maybe 50. There you go. This is probably more natural looking. Let's just for a simple example, but this is just that group, that's it. I don't think we have to worry about all this, and I didn't try those, but that's a hair clustering. Very simple. Let's next move on to the next modifier, hair shell. I didn't use this one. You can read the manual. It has something very interesting. Let's just see. If I can double click, you know, try to read this. I didn't use it, but so skip that one. Mesh from strands. Okay, let's just click this. Oh, I remember this one. There's this very important, and then there's a thick. Oh, okay, this one. All right. Okay, let's turn this off for now. Okay, so up till now we have 1000 hair, right, which is 1000 strands. And if you wanna get a mesh, definitely this is the modifier. And then later there's this very important option here called export guide mesh data. So what this does, well, the default is like this, right? You saw, and then if you click this one, and then you have to be in the flat billboard mode. It's mentioned in the manual. Okay, the mesh from strand. And this flat from billboard is, I'm not gonna read all through this, but this is if you want to export guide from your hair. Okay, so before I wanna the reason why why do you want to export guide if you have already a hair? And that's probably the first question that pops into your mind. And the reason is, if we are already in the hair type, right? If we are already in the hair type, and we do, even if we don't have the hair clustering, if I turn this off, so we are in the hair type, we can't edit it further with an edit guide. See how the edit guide is gone? It should be under D, the next alphabet after D. The edit guide is gone, and you are bound to edit hair type using modifiers. And as you can see below, the segment type, this is really powerful for, like, editing singular hair strands. Obviously you don't want to edit your per hair strand in the beginning stage. You want to really do it on really last stage. But once you my point is, once you are in the hair type, you lost that edit guide modifier. You are not able to use it, and you are bound to all this modifiers. And that's why there's this mesh from hair strand export guide, so that if, for example, if I turn my modifier, whatever I done with it, and if I want to continue editing from this point on with a brush or this IK thing, gizmo, I have to export a guide mesh data in a flat billboard type, mesh type. Okay, if it's here, it doesn't work. It's in the manual, so I'm not making this up. So these two is to export a guide. So now, since this is, if you tick this in, then it's Ornatrix understand this is a guide. So if we then hit guide from a guide mesh, sorry, let me rephrase that last sentence. Ornatrix understand this not as a guide, but as a guide mesh. Okay, it's now a guide mesh, and if you then use a guide from guide mesh, you are like back to square one, which is back to here. And then behold that the edit guides are back. So this way you are not, once you have hair, you can still edit it. It's a bit of a like a turnaround with these two, but you can still edit it back. And let me tell you, this is useful. Not sure why. Let me think. But so for example, if we are done editing, and then let me go. Hold on 1 second. Let's think. Let's just try. So we are here. I'll skip this one. Animation, we didn't use it. I didn't use it. So let's just. I'm trying to remember why this is not updating. Because I done the edit guides and for the hair, and it should be just the orange, and I'm trying to figure out where the white come from. So let's just try this one. Oh, there you go. Now they're all gone. Okay, probably it's a workflow. I'm not sure if this workflow is intended, all this, you know, messing around from hair back to guide, but it's there, and it can be done this way, so I guess it's fine. Oh, there you go. Oh, it's a bug then, sorry. Just now the viewport didn't update, which brought me to something I remember, that there's a way to plant guide. Is that the word for it? Okay, this sorry, let me backtrack a little bit, because I remember that that viewport glitch makes me remember this, that there's another glitch from the edit guide. So in this import spline, if we open up the manual, and it's in the strand sub object here, this okay, import spline, select a spline and then place it onto the surface. So you can actually say, for example, you know already we can delete guides, right? We can in the segment, and then if you want to plant it back, you can do it from this one, but let me warn you that it's buggy afterwards. I don't know if it's only buggy in my system, in my machine, but it's buggy, and then it's got that viewport glitch that I was experiencing just now. So just beware that if you wanna implant, like, you know, spline, because once you deleted it, then, you know, say for example, oh, you change your mind, you want it somewhere here back, you cannot move this thing from its root. This thing is fixed, so there's no way to move it. Even if you go to the root, and I believe you cannot move it. There you go. I'm moving it, and it just won't budge. It stick there. The only way is to either delete it or plant it back in. But again, at least in my experience, the planting is buggy, and there's viewport glitch and stuff. So just beware. Sorry, missed this one. But anyways, so back to where we were. Sorry, we were editing, and this is fine. So, oh, okay, we were in hair, and then there's this trick to get the hair still editable using brush and segments, and you can still delete stuff. Okay, but you have to go do this turnaround, and let's just move on. So let's just keep going, and now we're in guide. Remember, just remember, this is probably a little bit new, but in Ornatrix, let's just delete this. There's a guide and there's a hair type. Okay, so we're now in guide, and you know, hair is the other type. And really, the only reason you want to use a hair type, if it's only if you want to use the hair clustering modifier. Really, that's at least what I found. Because if let's just do while we talk about it, let's just skip and we change to the strand. Sorry, clustering. The other type of clustering. So the other type of clustering is the strand cluster, which should be that's funny. Probably it should be in the hair type, but anyways, let's just say once let's just say at this point we are in guide mode, right? So say for example we've done doing like a this, and then we want to go back to hair. Sorry, I know it's a bit confusing. I tried, believe me, this is my second take and still it's still a bit confusing, but let's just once you dive into Ornatrix, you will probably know why I want to go back and forth between the guide and the hair type, but let's just bear with me for right now, and I want to go back to hair. So I go hair from guides, okay, and then if I keep my number the same with the number below, so right now I believe I didn't delete anything, so we're still at 1000, but anyways, say for example even if I delete some, you know, I don't know, let's just delete a couple. So okay, there's yeah, there's a way there to, you know, quickly go from selection by the brush type. If you right away click to strand, it'll highlight those without control clicking, not like the editable poly. So let's just say I delete those. No, so I'm not sure how many numbers do I have right now, but I want a 1-to-1. So say for example if I use this and there you go, guides as hair, there you go, this is what I want. So I deleted some, so it's not 1000 count anymore, right? So if I use the regular one and I say go like, you know, 1000, then I'm definitely changing the numbers. I want an exact count from what I delete just now. So go here, guides as hair. So you know, you're treating these guides now as hair, so definitely type is hair, otherwise it's you're basically doing nothing because you're converting each guide as hair, but you're exporting the type as guide, so you're basically really doing nothing. But this is a 1-to-1 correlationship with the modifier below. So now we're back to hair, and sorry, my mistake really. So the clustering type is only on hair type, both the hair and the strand clustering. So delete that. And the only reason you want to use a hair type only if you want to do clustering, because if I remember correctly, all the other modifiers are there except clustering. But we'll check, we'll confirm that later. But if I compare the hair clustering type and the strand clustering type right now, this one it works something like this. You can, you know, it's got some, but to be honest, I find this, you can read the manual, you may like it, I didn't like it. I end up liking this hair clustering. So so either way, you know that you have options for two types of clusterings. So now we are hair type. So see how my mind, I need to know what mode I'm at right now every time. So now I'm at hair mode. Let's just continue. Hair shell, we discussed this one. We'll skip this one because this has to do with rendering. This will be definitely put on you know, on top of all the modifiers. But right now we are sort of like, you know, styling, so we don't deal with this yet. Skip this. We just touch on this one, but since I didn't like it, we'll just skip it. Curling, you know, play with all this. Definitely the scale is probably the one. Okay, there you go. If it's small, make it tiny so it's not crazy. But all these modifiers are actually very simple. Just play with it, get the hang of it, and then you'll understand what it is. Okay, strand detail, this is also important. Okay, so if you remember, if you go way back to this one, and we are at 10, if I kill this, this is a 10 point, and this is the way to add detail, so that when you're rendering, you are at, you know, number 50, sorry. This is definitely, you can put it on top later, way above, once you're done, or maybe you on some operation you need, for example, to increase first so you get a smoother curl. This is exactly like hair farm. You divide first, and then do on operation on top. If you don't need it, don't do it. And then so probably this is a better way to put the strand detail. Or you can, you know, do like a 30, or go slow 20, if not enough 30, and then maybe on before the render add a, like, you know, a final detail like a 50, you know, something like this. So this is like a, you know, you can rename your steps so you don't you know what you're doing. Okay, by the way, let me just save this because it's a bit buggy, to be honest. But I saved it once earlier. Let me just I just saved it on my, remember, very early I have created a folder. Just save it here, just override it. Okay, so we'll move on. We can do those strand detail that way. We'll leave the 50 on the very top, just before the render. Frizz also is important, an important modifier. It actually you know, creates some like, you know, like a real world effect. Let's just oops, missing one Z there. I think it's mentioned in the but frizz actually is there you go. There you go. To make hair appearance realistic, frizz is usually needed. In the real world, no hair is actually straight, and you know, this is to, you know, kind of like splay. That's the word that I was looking for, to splay the hair a bit. But once you play with it, you can understand it. Moving on. Strand gravity. I think I didn't use this. Yeah, I didn't use this, but probably useful. I didn't use this, by the way. So but you know, from the name, it's to simulate, and definitely there's a minus, I think, in other applications. Anyways, they have mine, but I didn't use it, to be honest, so let's skip that one. You can always play, definitely you have to play around with these. Hey guys, sorry I had to cut the video just now. The next modifier down the list is strand length. This is to add length. I think the default value is 0.2. To add length variation, let's just refer it to the manual. Should be a very simple modifier. See, so very simple. This is also needed in almost every hair, because no hair grows the same rate. Is just definitely not the way nature is. There should be randomization for even for each strand, but definitely for the big shapes you need to style it beforehand. This is just to give each kind of like, you know, cluster or clump further randomization between each strands, between each other. So excuse me one second. Okay, sorry, moving on to the next modifier down the list, strand length. So we showed this really early. This is to make trees. I didn't use this. Strand symmetry is, say for example, if you build you know, one side of the head, and then you want to, you know, symmetry it. This is the way to do it. It's in the manual, by the way. So the next one is the surface comb. Actually, I didn't use this one too. Let me just check it out real quick. Oh, this is for like doing fur. This is actually interesting, but this is more like an animal fur. See how creating fur here goes for animal fur, requires a different approach than that of longer hair. We are this is considered long hair because you need to style it. But this is just read the manual, but this is just for animal fur, so we don't use it. So basically we got all the modifiers explained. Let me see if we go again. We are in the hair, and then if we go to guides, go back to guide. No, we are in hair. If we're gonna go back to guides, then just simply hit this. And I just want to see if there's any other modifiers that's not in the hair type. Nope. I think that's all, right? Propagation, symmetry. Yep, I think I explained all the modifiers. Okay, that's those are you definitely need time to play with, but right now, as I promised, I will go through how did I get how did I do, what steps did I do to get to the point where I you know, edit each strand. As for the final detail step, there's a bit of a like a workflow that needs to be explained. But now that we're done with the basics, let's just save this, and then we'll keep this open, but we will keep the other file. Okay, and let's just start with this one. This is the more complex one, and also let me just open up the other one. Okay. Okay. So sorry. Hold on. So if now by now, sorry. Let's just forget about this one for one quick second. And if by now, if you've been following, and if sorry if I explain it not too confusingly, but by now you should be you should kind of understand more comfortable with what I mean by guide to hair to guide. So just to recap, okay, just to recap, we have the mesh, head mesh, and then we grow guides, okay, from the surface, from the surface, which is the mesh polygon. We edit with brush or delete. I don't recommend planting, importing spline and plant on, so no adding. So here, very important to note that no adding, right? Later I will I will show you probably later in a bit, but let's just keep going. So we can use the brush and the IK gizmo thing, and we can delete. And then from here, only if you wanna start using clustering, you wanna change it to a hair type. If you from here, if from edit guide, you just let me prove it. If you don't need to do clustering yet, I really suggest you keep it on the guide type. There's a reason for this. Okay, let's just we delete all this for now, and let me go really early on to like this point. For example, if we don't want to do clustering yet, and we just want to, for example, do like curling, and then we want to do frizz, and then we want to do detail, and then we probably want to do length. Okay, the reason you don't convert it to hair, if you need to, unless you really need it, the reason you do, unless you really need clustering, is the reason, and I've been preaching this, is because you can still edit it further. Check that out. So you want this editable. It really where the power lies, I think, anyways. Because once you convert it to you need clustering and you convert it to hair, remember we have to go back and forth with the mesh from strand and stuff, remember. We have to do all this, then only we can go back to editing it. That is why you want to keep this clustering way at the end. Okay, that is hopefully, I know it took me all the way back here to explain just this point. I know probably I'm a lousy explainer, but anyways, now that got that out of the way, let's just discuss this, and I will eventually lead to this by this base example. Okay, because the other than the base example and the uncom, the other parts are really very straightforward. Really, I'll show you a couple later, but really the others are straightforward. This is the this is the confusing part. Okay, so let's go start from the very bottom. Okay, and I'll turn this one off. So let's just assume, let's just, for example, not assume, but let's just pretend that whatever's on top is not yet there. I'm not gonna delete it. I will definitely not be able to undo, but anyways, so let's just pretend that we are now just editable poly, and then I did a bit of a push, so it, you know, it sits inside a little bit from the actual render polygon. Hey guys, sorry I had to cut the video, and it's been very busy lately, so I had to record the video days after the last recording. But anyways, let's just continue after the push. So I was saying, I was gonna show you the workflow for that will eventually lead up to the detailing. But anyways, okay, if also remember that I mentioned that let's pretend that everything that above that we are discussing is not there yet. So so that in that way, it's probably just in that way we can just focus on what we have right now. So like, it's okay. I'll probably just blur this in editing. But anyways, okay, so first of all, let's just I'm gonna unhide the head, so we have a visual help. And let me just freeze this for real quick. So now that it's frozen, okay, the first thing that I did is and also let's go over a little bit quicker. But anyways, after I put the distribution map, then I grew only like 100 count, and then later on, if you notice, after I grew just very quick, everything else is default, and then I edit the guides, and then if you notice, I deleted. Did I? No, actually, at this point I haven't deleted anything, but this is just simple like brushing, you know. And then if you notice here, I removed the random length. That way, it's just you know, because right now I'm only concerned with, like, you know, if say for example, if you're sculpting at this is like, you know, at the lowest subdivision level. If you're like, for example, I use ZBrush, so my sculpting term is pretty much ZBrush. So this, your division level is like, you know, the lowest, and then from that lowest point, once you do like, you know, very rough shape, you don't care at all with details at this point. Okay, and then everything that I did here is really just selecting and then moving the brush with just the effect selected only, and then freezing the ones that I think already placed nicely and everything. So let's move on. Very simple things here, but definitely very rough. And then okay, so at this point I grew more, but not like not to the sorry, let me think how to explain it better. But after the first like, you know, growth modifier, I didn't do like a second growth with, like, you know, like a like a full render, like for example like 100,000. That I didn't do that. There's a big reason for this, and this is the workflow thing that I mentioned. So let me just undo what the change that I did. Okay, so 300 and 300. See, right now the view count is the same, and then there's a reason for this. Is let me just to make the make it easier, just open up a new Max, and we'll probably open the last demo scene that we saved. Just give it one more second. Should still be in here. Okay, so let's just delete all this. Okay, and we'll try to replicate what I had there, basically up to this point. Okay, so this is the head with the distribution map, and then once I give it a push, hold on one second. Still doing something. Anyways, okay. So let's just replicate it. So this should be like a really the tiniest push is okay. So something like that. Okay, and then we'll grow guides, and sorry, wrong modifier, it should be this one, and then just go with the lowest. And since I did 30 there, I realized we'll just replicate that. Also, I want to merge real quick the oops, it should be here, the mid head. Sorry, double click still not working very well. Let's just auto rename this one. We'll just freeze it real quick. Okay, so now we need the distribution map. I have it on my desktop, this one. Okay, and then if we just refresh real quick, let me see. So let's just rename this. Okay. Oh, sorry. Remember that we have to flip this. Okay, there you go. Sorry about that. So right here, I thought I realized 100 is slightly too low, so I just increase it a little bit. But at this point, you don't want too high, because let's just edit this real quick so you guys really see. This is actually very simple. It's actually easier when you much easier when you see it. Anyways, I'm gonna just do this really roughly, but you will eventually see my why, what I mean by the workflow thing that I mentioned. Okay, so it's very simple. Let's just cut. I'm not gonna concern too much with detail at this point. I just want okay, for example, the base shape. So what I normally do is, say for example, right now I have 3 there selected, 3 guides. I will hit this and I will comb it down like so. Of course, always refer to my reference picture. Let's just not see the final. Let's just find something real quick. Maybe this one. Maybe, yeah. Okay, so something like this one goes down. Then once I'm done with just this small part, I'll just freeze this one and I continue selecting the ones that I need. Also be careful. See, always has that because there's no well, I guess there's back facing, but I don't use it that much. But anyways, let's just continue. You will see my point in a second, especially at this area. I'll just focus on on one small part. Anyways, right. Say for example, let's just pretend that we're done with all the parts, and okay, I'm gonna write here 100. Okay, and normally some people will, like, you know, have a much higher count. For example, maybe like 1,000 initially, okay, and then after they did an edit guide, and then they grow hair for the final, like the final amount for the render time. Say for example like 100,000 for example, and then here because this, I'm pretty sure the viewport won't be able to handle 100,000. I tried, but let's just say we go 10,000. Alright, and then same distribution map we need, so we'll just copy and we'll just instance one real quick. Okay, and this way, if you just do, like, you know, 2 levels of editing, one from the initial and then one for the final, this will have a lot of, you know, issue and very hard to control, because okay, say for example, even this at 10,000, you're only seeing a tenth of it, and you're already seeing, like, you know, so much hair penetrating to the ear and everything. But then if you do it slower, if you do it by steps, like what I did with, say for example, first 300, and then you say the next will be after the 300 is 3,000. okay, 3K. So here we go 3K and 3K, right? And then right now this is still quite a lot, but you edit, you know, like this is like a second subdivision level, and this is even though it looks and also remember that we still need to edit, so we really need to turn it to guide. And then if you still edit this in a more, you know, it's a more in steps, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. So here we see, say for example, this is the problem area that I feel that, you know, a lot of penetrating. Okay, and definitely, oops, don't want all those. Okay, and then like at this point maybe we can just, you know, do a height. Okay, there's no like height unselected, unfortunately, so you have to, for example, do a height, and then select everything, okay, oops, select everything, and then you unhide everything, then like freeze. If there's that hide unselected or freeze unselected button, it will, you know, make it a bit faster. But anyways, this is also one way to do it. Of course we can effect select it only, but let's just, for example, okay, since we only have those, you know, once you get a hang of this, you kind of know what you need to do. But anyways, since we also now we can, you know, like delete stuff. For example, if we need to commit more, you know, straight down, for example, and then we cut, like, see how, you know, like this hair is growing from you know, behind, and it's penetrating, so we need to delete that one. Okay, so should be this one. Yep. Okay, so of course this is a very time consuming process.